Inclusive leadership in the finance community really looks like a core of authenticity. So bringing your whole self to work and also encouraging your coworkers, your peers to do the same, and understanding that we are all different and have different needs, and making an effort to support everyone in what they vocalize as needing and encouraging them to vocalize that. The finance function has its hands in a lot of different areas around any organization. They likely have the widest breadth of practice, whether that's being able to look over contracts and negotiations, or that's having insight into the internal systems that are being used. There's a lot of opportunities for accountants to identify ways to improve diversity in their organizations. So one of the examples of that I was able to achieve this year was our internal recreation booking system that we use for residents only had male and female options. And as the accountant, I've got my access to the back end to be able to see that and then make that change. And it's relatively quick change for me to do, probably 5 minutes of work, but that makes a substantial impact on the ability of people to correctly identify themselves in our systems. So taking a bit of time to take a look at the language in your contracts, the language in your systems, and then make that change as a finance person is a great way. And that's why it's so important to have an understanding of diversity and the different needs of people that are different to you.
My inspiration to become a CPA was kind of gradual, and there was quite a few moving pieces. I would say a really big piece was actually my mom. We emigrated to Canada when I was 9 years old, and my mom had to kind of start all over again and got into accounting, but never got her designation because she was kind of helping support me and my dad because we didn't speak any English. And I played professional tennis my whole life, basically from 5 years old, and I had a lofty goal of becoming a top 10 tennis player in the world, and I pursued that dream until my late 20s, and so that was a really difficult time in my life because I had to let go of that dream, essentially, and I needed to replace it with another lofty goal to pursue to kind of fulfill myself and to keep driving forward. So that seed that my mom planted earlier about her wanting to become a CPA and talking about CPA, I thought, well, why don't I start and go get my business degree? And just, I had a lofty goal of achieving maybe a CPA one day, but I broke it down into smaller steps. And I said, I'll go get my bachelor's and kind of see how things go. And that's kind of how it started. And then it just little steps. And then as I started taking accounting courses, I enjoyed it. And then it just kind of rest is history, I guess.
As a mid-market investment banker at Sequoia, I get the opportunity to work with business owners as they navigate probably one of the most significant and complex decisions in their lives, being succession planning. And you can imagine with these business owners, they've grown these businesses to a point where now it's our turn to come in, help them find a good home, and then help our client also to transition out of the operations. And so it's very deeply personal experience. It's also very unique for each individual. And what we find is often people think our job as investment bankers is to maximize valuation, but in reality, it's a lot more complex. A lot of times we have clients that are really focused on maintaining the legacy of their business, maintaining the culture, protecting their employees, and these aspects tend to be just as important as the financial aspects. And so I think the biggest challenge in our role is to really listen to our clients, really understand each of their unique needs, and then strategize a process that helps them meet their objectives. And the good thing is having the CPA background and having the skill sets, I've been trained in a way where I can help mitigate any closing risk we may have, also be able to tackle any transaction issues that arise. And so a good example of that is there was an instance where my client was actually presented with financial statements that had an error in them. And so I was able to use my skill sets to look into financial information, identify the error, suggest an adjustment, and that actually ended up being a positive impact on the valuation. And ultimately, my client was able to sell their business at a higher price point. And at the end of the day, when we can finally get to the end, celebrate and see that you've made a meaningful impact in their lives, is extremely rewarding.
The firm in general was moving towards having kind of a national DE&I committee, and I put my hand up to lead our local team. And I felt that my interest in the space and my skill set in being able to bring teams together towards a common goal would add value, and I think I was just generally interested in the concepts we were going to be talking about. And so from that, a small committee was developed, and the committee is phenomenal and inspiring and so engaged in all of the activities and initiatives that we put on. A few of the key initiatives I would say would be anything that we can bring in guest speakers or people with lived experiences seems to resonate the best with the team. So we've led a few recent ones with local partners, like Brain Trust Canada and Autism Okanagan Society, who speak on things like invisible disabilities. And those provide a lot of context for our team to understand the importance of certain observances or DEI concepts. However, the one that I'm the most proud of is our International Women's Day panel. So for the last 3 or 4 years, we have invited speakers. Some of them are MNP team members, and some of them are external community partners who provide their stories to our full team. And so that allows for our team to see the obstacles and challenges that these women have faced in their careers, their resilience, their successes, and how they have kind of been able to do it all, which I think is a challenge that many women face, is how do I have the professional as well as the personal. And how I know that they've made an impact is that our team continues to talk about them for months to come after. And it really opens the door for any dialogue, whether it's on International Women's Day or any other diversity, equity, and inclusion topic. They know that there is a space to bring it forward. They know that there is people who want to listen and understand and provide education if it's something that they want to learn.
Everybody's definition of success is going to be a little bit different, but I'll share mine. So my definition of success is finding and achieving your best self, both personally and professionally, and then helping others do the same as well. The secret to my success has been in finding happiness through the work that I do and the life that I live. And my happiness formula is quite simple. It's discipline plus purpose plus gratitude. And what I mean by that is having the discipline every day to do the things that you say you're going to do and executing on them. And then having a purpose. In finding my purpose, it actually took a long time, and the journey was quite tough to understand what it truly was. But now I understand that my purpose is to help people improve their financial literacy through education and awareness to improve their lives personally and professionally. And this actually all came about because I was doing some reflection on my own as a CPA. Everybody thinks you're supposed to be really good with your money, and all my friends come and ask me money questions. But one day I was looking at my finances and I realized, it's not where I wanted it to be, and it's not where it needs to be if I want to achieve my financial goals. And then I thought back to it of why was this happening? And eventually what happened was it created my TEDx story called Financial Literacy and the Social Media Generation. And in my TEDx, I share not only my story about my trials and tribulations with money, but also how I came out the other side successful. And I use this avenue to share with people because anybody can do it. So I'm very, very proud of that. And I'm also very grateful for the people who've joined along in my journey and for all the new friends that I've made along the way.
At M&P, where I am, we're business people first. We've found generally if something makes good business sense, it's usually in the long run good for the community too. And so we've had the opportunity to do that, and I don't think I would have been nearly as much help on the boards if I didn't have my designation and the background that comes with it. Coming out to BC, Community Futures was a place I hadn't heard of before. It was totally new to me. But when I got to start to learn some of the different things that they do with their loan programs and the business coaching and training, it really excited me. It gives an opportunity to do things that I might not always get to do through my work, but serve a lot of the same people. I think where it really hit home for me was about a year ago. We celebrated our 35th anniversary in our community as Community Futures, and it was kind of a twofold event. It was our 35th anniversary, and it was also a retirement party for our outgoing general manager who had been there from day one. And so they were able to go through all the different businesses that we were able to help get started up, and businesses that are still active and involved in the community and serving our small community. And going through the process of having to now replace somebody who's done all this great work. We've definitely become the go-to place when you don't necessarily have business experience previously, and you know you need some help. And those people, it's fun to help too. They don't have somebody that's told them things for years and years and kind of said, no, this is the way you need to do it. You can start with them from ground zero and watch them grow, and you can tangibly see the impact you're having on their business through it.
The easy answer would be to say it was back in high school when I took an aptitude test and top 3 answers were accountant, auditor, actuary, but I thought that program was broken. I went to UFE to be a marketing student, but dropped that. But really, it ended up just being a good fit for the skill set and aptitudes that I had. I love solving problems. I love working on challenging and new types of problems and figuring out solutions to them. I love being able to explain complexity to people and making it understandable and more simple. And I really love the opportunity in accounting to work with such a variety of people to get to know their story and to build the relationships with them. I ended up getting recruited to LLT, where I started in 2013 as a seasonal tax preparer, simply because they had an on-campus event that had free pizza, and I hadn't packed dinner for my night class that night. And I sent in a resume and got a 3-month job, and then stayed on as a bookkeeper, then an accountant, then an accounting manager, and then finally a partner. 2 things I'm most proud of. One is the culture that we've built on and continued to grow. It was an excellent place when I got there. It's continuing to grow to be a place where people want to be, where people get opportunities to grow, challenged, and that we have a fun, kind of close-knit group, even though we've grown from around 20 people when I started to around 50. But another initiative that I really am proud of looking back is our growth of our marketing, our social media, and our kind of branding side, where we took that culture that we've built and we've really tried to showcase that as both what it's like to work with and for us. Part of that was building out initiatives over time to say, how can we rebundle things in ways that are more accessible and more friendly, including the Hey Matt series, which for a while was our way of giving technical information in a fun setting where people would interrupt me throughout the day with, hey Matt, and then ask a question that I would answer almost as if I was just giving the answer to a staff member that was looking for the response. It really made the information accessible and understandable and translated well into the social media brands.
I did a career aptitude test in high school, like most grade 10 students taking Planning 10 in BC. And my top 5 results were CMA, CGA, CA, Actuary, and Funeral Director. The last option, probably not the best based on my personal interests, and I thought the universe was probably trying to tell me something. So I did some courses and I thought, yeah, I'm probably gonna be okay at this. I like numbers enough. So I went to university for it. And while I was maybe not the best at my courses, in talking to professionals and doing networking and learning more about the industry, I realized that this was something that I really wanted to do. I really wanted to build a career for myself where I'm a subject matter expert, that I know how to do things, how to get stuff done. I have an expertise and a skill set that can't be easily replicated. And from there, I can use those skills to help people solve complex issues. I parlayed that into tax, where nobody understands tax. Some of the highlights really tie back to the type of clients that I get to work with. BDO is a mid-market firm. We're not necessarily serving or making our bread and butter serving the largest companies in the world, but the companies are reasonably large and they're interesting. But they're also small enough that I can see the impact of my work in my community. I was working with a charity and a real estate developer to help set up 40-something odd units of low-income housing for seniors. Did some consulting work for them, helped them structure some agreements and review their contracts, and save them a couple $100,000, not a small number. And then a year later, I was waking up and I looked outside my window at home, and I realized that building looks awfully familiar. I went back and I dug through, because I had an inkling of what it was. I dug back and looked through an appraisal report, and I realized that, oh hey, those 40 units of low-income housing for seniors are 30 seconds away from my house or from my apartment. Just being able to see the impact of my work in my community and having a tangible impact is something that I really value.